Absolutely. So you move from single families and you learn the property management lesson, which I've been fortunate. I had a good property manager, but and she's still awesome. Are you still self-managing those ones?
I guess I skipped part of this. I own one of them now. I have divested divested the first two I bought, and that's how we funded these last deals. Was from those. As we sold in 2019. I'm sorry, 2020 and 21.
Oh, good
So
time. Good time
it
to
was
sell a house.
time to sell those houses and move up.
So the Emerald Isle. Run me through kind of what those types of numbers look like, because so I remember looking at top sale back. I was out there. Was it 20? I don't know, 2017, 2018. And I remember looking at some of those prices and thinking, man, this house is worth this much money. It's not, overpriced, whatever. And I didn't realize the Airbnb income potential, because some of those properties bring in a very substantial amount of money. Obviously, if you're talking someone made 100 grand through Airbnb on a property, like that's enough to justify a pretty solid mortgage. So I'm kind of curious, like what if you can walk us through some of those deals, what they look
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. So the first one we did, it's kind of fell in a lap. We opened the aperture a little bit once we saw that first duplex over in Topsail, and opened up a little bit. Again, we had a pretty good team of people working with us, and this deal came through. It was I got no problem. I'll give you the actual numbers. We got it for around 8. Um, and so that's a beachfront unit, your own private walkover, the whole 9 yards. It's about 2,000 square feet. Really nicely finished, just a nice property. And then our first year, so we're just over a year now. We did just over 100K in gross. Right. So, and part of that was we were down for about a month because we had to do some siding work in the wintertime. So we closed the books completely on that. And so that's the rough. I think I think that number is a little inflated simply because, the owner we bought it from had been running as a short-term rental for a while. So some of those numbers we got like basically the entire booking. Whereas most of them you pay like 50% up front, and so if you paid in 2020, or you booked in 2020, you paid 50% up front, and then you didn't actually stay until 2021. So because we bought it, mid-April, we got a little bit of play in those numbers, but we also skipped out on a couple of months of. So I think it probably evens about out, and that's what we're projecting for this year for that property.
I mean, that's solid. I mean, did you have to go? I'm assuming obviously investment loan, but did you have to go full 25% down,
No.
or what did that?
This is a good part about this. And it actually kind of ties into a couple of one of your other guests with asset protection. I bought this first one as a second home.
Ah, nice.
Right.
Yeah. So was that 15%, 10% down?
I think I did 20. I got 20 down.
Okay, so
20.
still, I mean,
So
yeah, 20% down on that. I mean, 100K gross, even if your net is half of that, that's a incredible return on investment. Yeah, that's awesome. So okay, so you were like, wow, this works, obviously, because you have now bought another duplex.
yep.
So what is the duplex similar numbers, or have you seen the
So
market inflate?
I haven't. Yes. So this new duplex. Keep in mind the first one I bought was a half, so it's only one unit. The new one didn't get as good of a deal on it. A couple of things. One, the market increased. Like everything else, the market's increasing. It's a second row, or second/third row, so it's not right on the water, and so that's a whole different ballgame that we had to learn a little bit about marketing that. But the good news about this property is it's a value add. So it was a long-term rental for the last 8 to 9 years, I think. And so we came in, brought the property. We've done some work already just to get it, fast and furious. We bought it, we listed it, get it on all the channels, and then we started making doing work, little things right now, like we're adding a putting green. We've put some really really nice outdoor showers in. Once the season's over, we're going to put a pool in the back. And so that's really that's when we're going to see really the numbers that we're projecting, is once we get that pool. Because what I found, and again, this is very specific to beach resort type areas. If you're not on the water, the pool really really helps that second and third row, and so that's what we're waiting on. Once we get through something, the summer the books are pretty much there for the summer. It's almost all booked out both sides. So we've got to wait a little bit until really kind of the fall, where it slows down just a little bit, so we get time to put the pool in, and then we'll really see the return on that one.
That's awesome. And I wouldn't have thought of that would make a significant difference, but I guess that makes sense. In Missouri, that people don't really care about having swimming pools, so it's all about knowing your market and knowing your area.
Yeah, and people in our market, they come mainly, the big season is obviously Memorial Day through Labor Day. They're week long bookings, and it's a lot of people out of state. So we get a lot of Midwesterners, a lot of people from like Virginia, Maryland area, and then even from like the South, like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. Right, so they're coming a long way to the beautiful North Carolina coast, and they want that kind of full experience. So anything you can do to set your property Uh, apart from the rest, right? So we're in the process now of putting in a very large putting green. We bought the property; it was very overgrown in the front. You couldn't even see the house from the street. We went in, we ripped all that excess foliage out, left some stuff that looks good, and now we've got this big open area that we're going to put the putting green. So when you drive past this property, you see this nice large. We're talking like 18 by 12 foot putting green. It's just something that sets it apart. And then you imagine going with your buddies and all, like, hey, we're out here and we're chipping out of the sand trap on the putting green. We're having a couple of beers after being at the beach all day. It's just something that other properties around don't have. So it sets us apart.